All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about 35-cent hex code green. And you'll understand by the end of the video exactly what I mean if you don't already by now, right? If you haven't been around for a while and already know what these codes, these color codes mean, then you'll surely know by the end of the video. But something you probably already do know by this point in time is the absolute rally that Hex has been undergoing over the past few, I want to say days, but really this rally has been going on for weeks. And if you zoom out, obviously, then it has been a clear uptrend ever since November of last year, more specifically. So we've been in a clear bull trend, signified by not only the uptrend, but by our moving averages and literally every single other metric. We're talking social metrics, quantitative metrics, technical metrics, fundamentals. The narrative is fantastic. And so you know that at every point in time, we were calling for certain levels that have hit every single time, right? Back here, we were calling for, or over here, actually, we were calling for 3 to 6 pennies, and we got 6 pennies. During this formation, we were calling for 12 to 24 pennies if you were watching the videos. And we got 12 to 24 pennies in this move. And then after this flag, we said, you know what? We could be looking at 28 to 56 cents. I think, no, my bad. It was like 25 to 55 cents. But based on some, some slight alterations to the model, it gives you some margin with a little bit of range. So the range becomes anywhere from like 25 to 60 cents, right? And the 60 cents converges with the quarterly ROI model. I don't want to get too much into that, but more or less our bull flag targets are now, or have been for a few weeks, 25 to 60 cents, more or less. And where are we now? We're smack dab in the middle of that range. And I will continue to say that I do think we have legs to continue on and hit that upper bound that we were talking about, that 56 to 60 cents. Now, this is obviously already incredible, right? 34 cents is amazing. And I mean, look at this. Sure, we had a little dip, but it was bought back up super quickly. It really reminds me of these kind of moves over here where you have a rally that brings you into new territory and then people just, thinking, oh, this could be the top, not really realizing the potential that lies ahead of them. They sell it down from 3 to 2 pennies, come back a few months later, and probably have to buy back higher, which honestly just sucks. Okay? So, not saying, right? I'll leave it at that, right? You don't want to be the guy who sells here, do you? No. So there are tricks and some things you can do to avoid being that guy. But for the most part, the easiest is just staking your coins, not touching them, and that's that. But it's fun to speculate, and that's what we're here for, right? Just pure speculation, not financial advice. I don't have a crystal ball, even though these calls that I've had on the channel have been pretty much flawless, and I don't think I've missed a single time. I might have missed once, but I mean, call me out if I have. It's been pretty on point. Point being, without hyping myself up too much, I want to bring up this extension from these moving averages, right? We look at extensions from our exponential fit. Looking at extensions is one method of technical analysis where you say, okay, how far extended have we recently been above, say, this 20-day moving average? And I wanted to look at that because we had a sort of bubble above it here, and we had another one here. So what I went ahead and did is I looked at how far extended each time was and how long it was in between the peaks. So this here was May 14th, 2021, and our 20-day moving average was at about 3.1 pennies, whereas price went a little over 2x above that, right? About 120% above that. And then we had our bullish formation here. We had this move. We found nice support on this previous top, and then it was go time, blast off. And during this blast off move over here, we wicked up to about 150% overvalued or overextended from our 20-day moving average, which was sitting at around 9 cents at the time. And this wick came up to around 22 cents. So both of these occasions, you had peaks where price got about 120 to 147% extended above its 20 MA. and the distance between these peaks was 62 days. Now I know that 2 data points is not a trend at all, but it just gives you an idea of a sort of short term, like what can you expect, kind of like an upper boundary if we were to have just crazy move. Well, these moving averages are obviously constantly moving up because price is above them and it's continuing to rise, or at least staying above them, therefore pulling these averages to the upside. So I drew this curve like a day or two ago, so clearly slope is a little higher for our moving averages. So let's actually update this. And what I'm trying to do here, let's actually redo this. Yeah, let's redo this. What we're saying is, well, what if we have another 120 to 150% extension from our 20-day moving average? Well, if that happened, let's say right now, today, within the next 24 hours, then that would correspond, and we'll just do an average of the two. So between 147 and 121, let's just say the average of those two is about 130 or so right here. So if it were to happen in the next 24 hours, we're looking at 53 cents. Now, if it takes 62 days, which obviously, again, 2 points is not a trend, but it's fun to speculate. And we look at, well, these moving averages are curved to the upside. And so we could expect maybe they round out or do something like this, do a number like this. Who knows, right? They could keep curving up, but we've seen sometimes they start curving down before a theoretical peak, right? Then we're looking at, well, what does that extension correspond to if we were to be right on the money, right on the dot, and have the extension on September 15th, which is 62 days from the previous sort of little peak that we're looking at. We're talking about a price point of approximately 70 cents. So that gives you a nice little range to look at for some short-term speculation if we were to repeat something like this, right? Where you have this little bubble above your 20-day MAs. And so that gives you a range, right? It gives you a range between early September to mid-September, potentially looking at 52 to 70 cents or so. So let's just say 50 to 70 cents, which is quite bullish. But again, that gives you sort of upper bound, which is nice because it converges with sort of our bull flag upper bound target, which was about 55 to 60 cents. Not only that, it converges with a quarterly ROI target, which I can show you guys in a little bit. But the video is called Code Green. Right, this video is called 35 cents code green because we crossed green on our regression rainbow. Now this is a huge deal, not only because we haven't done this many times in the past, right? After launch, you can say, well, we tapped it here once, got rejected. Broke above it here, had this famous bubble, right? Once we broke beneath it, we had one little bubble above it, and we didn't test green ever since that 1.5 penny peak of November 1st of 2020. So we didn't test it since then, not until July, right? Our first sort of 20 to 22 cent peak in mid-July, around when sacrifice phase actually started. And now we're actually crossing it for the first time in a long time, actually decisively breaking above it. We'll see if it's a number like this back last November, or maybe if it's a number like this last May. Hopefully it's something like last May, because that would coincide with our ETH Fractal that we know and love. Now, I did not expect this to hold so dang cleanly. Like, look at this. Look at because we were calling for, well, if this were to play out exactly and HEX were to track ETH on this regression rainbow model, then HEX is pointed towards $2 in October. Now, that's very bullish, right? But given that we've seen moves like what we've seen recently, where in a matter of less than a month, right, we've gone from 8.6 pennies to about 38 pennies. So almost a 5x, right? A 4 to 5x in literally 1 month. So to think that price would do something similar, again, another 4 to 5x would put us, over $1.50. Could that happen in a month? I mean, just look at what's happened, right? It's not impossible. It would be a feat, and it would take some energy, right, to push HEX into these upper levels, but it's tracking ETH. And not only that, look at what ETH did after the current move, right? It's kind of hard when I'm like moving this legend, I noticed. But for the most part, let's just look at it, right? We had a continued bubble up into the pink region. Like, there's not much more to say about that, right? And we looked at this not that long ago in a video. Let me scroll down. Here we go. And looked at what this actually means in terms of price, right? If we map it back to price, what does it mean? Well, it means, like I said, a potential bubble to $2.20 in, when does this actually peak? October 21st. Then consolidation between $1 to $4 for a few months into the end of the year. And then actually, where does it end up end of the year? That's a fun one to look at. About $2.50. And then it consolidates again between $2 and $4 before rallying up to $25 in May of next year. And then continuing on and maybe potentially at that point coming back down to red and eventually breaking the actual regression model. But for now, this is where we are and things look good. And that's why this video is called Code Green. You knew it was coming. You know it's a good sign. Now, what would it mean for us to reach our next level? That's always a fun question. What would it take for us to reach code cyan or code blue? Call it code cyan. Well, it would take a 50-cent hex to be able to make a video called 50-cent hex code blue. What should we call it? Code cyan or code blue? It's up to you. Leave it in the comments below. But this video is more or less just a little recap of where we are. Kind of a celebration because this is huge, right? This is a big deal. We're talking about 34-cent hex. I mean, this is a big deal to a lot of people, right? So congratulations if you're a holder or a staker, right? I'm sorry if you sold, too bad. But hey, this thing is pointed to the upside, so it might not be too late. Again, not financial advice, but hey, we just recently crossed green, and the math says we could be headed towards pink if we're gonna do our ETH Fractal. Again, we have this regression rainbow here on TradingView, which is a custom coded indicator, which I absolutely love. Again, we have a lot of people asking for access. We'll open up access probably within a week. I want to open up just a small group that can actually access this. But we have our Fibonacci rainbow as well. So you can plot them simultaneously or by themselves, and you can really understand how the only lines these two have in common are the bottom, top, and middle, right? You can clearly see that. It's pretty interesting. So I mean, I guess you could plot them both and have these sort of band regions that you could look at. Like look at how we consolidated around yellow, support on orange quite nicely, around yellow, support on orange quite nicely, around yellow before blasting off. And now it looks like we might want to find support on green, which is super nice. I mean, look at what happened back here, right? On this fractal, we found support, right? We hit purple, dipped a little bit, found support on blue, and then hit pink. So, maybe we do one band lower. So that's a conservative approach, right? If we hit blue, came back down to green, and then hit purple, we're still talking $1 in October, right? So it wouldn't be our $2 super bullish target, but this would be more of like a drawn out version of something like this, because we've seen things be way more drawn out. Like, I mean, just look at this. Like, this was a nice little move, barely took a lot, not much time at all, and then blast off. Whereas something like this, and I'm talking about the recovery from the depths of red, right? Something like this over here took way, way longer to actually play out. So, on the same note, I would not be surprised if instead of having this move straight to purple, blue, pink, maybe it's a little more drawn out, maybe more played out. Like, I mean, just look what we're doing. Maybe something like this, a little more drawn out. Maybe we do reach purple, but it takes longer, right? Maybe we do come back down to blue. And again, the move to pink maybe doesn't happen until the end of the year. And at that point, instead of having this sort of shape where it's a peak in October and then a peak in May, maybe we have a single peak right in the middle here or at some point here. So if that just single middle peak theory plays out, we're looking at, for example, a peak mid-December, we're looking at about $4. And again, pink peaks out end of the year at around almost about $5 or so. So again, these levels change every single day. And yeah, the market changes every single day. So it's hard to tell exactly where we'll end up. But these are just kind of mathematical models to give you an idea. Not only do we have the regression rainbows, which I absolutely love, we also have our risk metric, which again is based on a derivative, right? It's based on some calculus. that's a fancy way of saying, hey, we took the slope of a moving average and plotted it here for you with a filter top and filter bottom to give you an idea of, you can change this too, of if you're a risk adverse person, again, maybe you set this to something like 0.7 and 0.3, right? If you definitely don't want to miss out on literally anything and are conservative, then you maybe set it to these levels, right? And so this captured the peak, so to speak, starting around here and ending around here. So captured this region with the red, and I mean for the green it captured a lot, right? It captured like literally all of this for the green. It captured, for the most part this move over here, and then for the most part it captured a lot of this bottoming action. So it was a nice green gave you a nice accumulation zone over here, whereas red in the time it was overheated, right? Which is interesting because at the time, it did take us a while to reach these levels again, but at the time, like, look at this green here, this consolidation was higher than this level, which is interesting. So over time this level obviously changes, but if you are, if you have a higher risk tolerance and you don't care about missing out necessarily, you really are more like, don't mind the risk because you understand the reward and that's just your risk profile, then you might set the filter tops to 0.9 and 0.1, right? Whereas look at what it captured. This red sort of signal only captured a tiny move over here, which was closer to the actual top, so to speak. And this green reaccumulation zone, you would have, so to speak, gone in heavy to repurchase around here, right? If that was your game, if that was your sort of if that was your game. And it reached red. I mean, it reached green a little slightly over here, had a little double bottom during this move over here. So that was sort of a final reaccumulation zone similar to this. But again, I really like these indicators. I'll be opening up access to a small group of people probably within the week. Yeah, probably by Monday. What is today, like Saturday or Sunday? Probably by Monday. But yeah, those are some cool indicators just to give you an idea of where we could be headed. If you go to LookIntoHex.com, all of these thumbnails have actually been updated, right? Because we actually crossed through green, so I updated this thumbnail. This is the updated heat map, updated on HEX versus BTC, HEX versus ETH, and quarterly ROI as well. So we'll open up a few of these just to finish off. This is where we are on the heat map, which again, this here is very nice congruence, in my opinion, with a model like this, where we think we could be headed into these upper regions. I mean, just look at the heat map, right? Where are we now? We're at this green level, which we saw around here was the last time we saw it, right before our final explosive move up to reach pink. So again, this converges with our ETH Fractal model. I'm gonna have to raise this roof right here, raise the bound, because it's quickly approaching $1, right? I might raise this another 10x, so it'll actually top out at like $10. I mean, the risk metric, we're still pretty cool, right? We haven't had a bubble like this, which tells me, I don't have like an overheated signal, so to speak, yet. Our extension from fit heat map, this gives you another idea. This level, this color we're printing here, last time we saw it, other than this intermediate peak, was over here, right? Over here before this fractal. Again, very similar to the heat map above, where we still have a potential 5 to 10x move to go, according to history, up into this pink region, right? You can see it over here as well, right? This level is only similar to this level back here. And yeah, this is on a linear chart. This is basically this on a linear chart without the underlay, but gives you an idea of, sure, we're curving up, but I mean, look where we've ended up in the past, right? As high as 1, right? Whereas right now we barely crossed the 0.2 level. And sure, we've had intermediate peaks, but who's gonna care about those, right? I care more about these huge kind of macro peaks. So it looks like we're curving up. This is just yet another indicator that tells me, like, a fractal could be playing out. It's really similar to this region where we have this nice sort of bull flag formation blast off. Again, this one was more long and drawn out, but it looks good. It looks like it's ready to just launch off, man. Like this could go pretty high, and it doesn't even have to reach 1, right? If we get into the 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, 1 level, then things are looking pretty overheated. But here's the quick one to finish off the video, is the fact that we're at 4.5x ROI from the beginning of the quarter. So quickly approaching these two and ready to pass them up pretty quickly. We still have good runway, right? We still have almost a month, pretty much all of September, to see if maybe we can get above orange here. That would correspond to 60-cent hex or more, and we are pointed in that direction. So it'd be really cool to see us head into this, 60-cent or actual multiple dollar regions finally. Finally, the hex to dollar meme has become a reality potentially soon. I mean, we're only a 3x away. I'm going to update the liquidity calculator soon so I can play with that maybe on stream live for you guys at some point soon here. Open up access to that as well. There's a lot of cool stuff we can open up access to, which a lot of you guys are seeming to want in the comments. So we'll be doing that shortly, just getting it set up on my end, but things are looking good. Congrats on the new all-time highs. Enjoy, 34 cents. There's still room to move up according to many of my analyses and models. I didn't even touch on this one. I guess we'll finish off with this one, is that this here reminds me, this candle that we saw, that are seeing this week, is reminding me of a candle like this, where it's very unexpected. A lot of people are thinking it might be a top, but in reality, it's, again, just part of this fractal, similar to what I was talking about in these heat maps, right? Right over here, just barely printing these levels before this fractal. Same with this heat map up here, barely printing green, something similar over here prior to something like this. So I'm thinking, well, what if we see something like that? Because this candle looks like it's been the biggest candle in a while, right? I mean, sure, this one is huge. This one is huge. Something about this one, maybe it's this wick here. Maybe it's this wick here. And for example, this wick up here, that once we actually crossed above it, right? Nice wick, nice wick. Once we crossed above this wick level, then it was blast off 10x. All right, once we crossed above this wick level, it was blast off above over 10x. So, we're blasting off above this level. We could be headed to the $2 region. And, we're already at 34 cents. It happened very, very quickly. So again, that's my most bullish prediction, I guess, is $2 in October. I mean, who wouldn't love to see it, right? It would still fit within our model. And yeah, I mean, I've been saying we're going to make a video soon on HEX respecting its parabola, and we still haven't. All right, let's just do a quick parabola here, like, to show you. All right, I mean, this is so good. Like, curving up on a log chart is very impressive, by the way. Just a line on a log chart is an exponential curve on a linear chart. So a parabola on a log chart is basically like an x squared e to the x function. It's nuts. It's rare. You should know that you're holding something special here with HEX. I mean, yeah, a lot of my models are saying up. So appreciate you watching. Leave a comment down below on which model you think holds the most significance, or am I just, am I missing some screws? Let me know. Yeah, again, appreciate you watching. Subscribe if you're new. Thank you guys for 6,000 subs. We blasted right through. Apologize for not uploading a video yesterday. Doing my best, but have so much on my plate. But I'm doing my best to get back on the daily track. But yeah, other than that, I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.